Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on RAK ICC Foundations. We will wait another few minutes so that we give everyone time to join, and we'll probably start at 5 past 10, sorry. Good morning, everyone. My name is Afreen. I'm the marketing manager at RAK ICC, and today I have with me Donald Fernandez, the business development manager. And I want to welcome all of y'all and thank you all for joining in such, at in such large numbers. And I can see here in front of me, people are still joining, but I believe we're good to start right now. So welcome, Donald. Uh, We've both been working on this for a while, and we're very excited because RAK ICC Foundations have been in the news and is the new buzzword here. And we're very excited to let all of you all know what RAK ICC foundations are, what they comprise of, how they can benefit you as RAK ICC registered agents, as well as how they can benefit your clients. So we decided to do the webinar a little different today. Traditionally, we have someone explaining out of a presentation to you, but to make it simple and easy to absorb, because for many of y'all, you would be hearing about RAK ICC foundations for the first time, especially those of y'all who belong to the teams in each of our registered agent offices. This would be a good chance to get a quick introduction to what RAK ICC foundations are. So let's start off, Donald. Everything good on your end?
Yes, thank you, Afreen. So, good morning, everyone. And wow, I can see a good number of people joining. So this is going to be exciting. So, yes, we can
Let's
start.
start.
Yeah,
Okay, perfect. To keep it sweet and simple, Donald, tell all of us what is a RAK ICC foundation?
great. Well expected question. So, a RAK ICC Foundation is an independent legal entity created under RAK ICC framework. It has its own legal personality. Example, asset belongs to the foundation, not the founder. And principally, it is used for asset structuring, succession planning, estate planning, protection from forced inheritance, creditors, long-term holdings, Philanthropy Act. It operates just like a corporation, but issues no shares or legal title. So that's to summarize, this is what a foundation is.
Okay, so if we have to make it even more simpler and very easy for our audiences, we can say that a foundation is a legal entity that acts exactly like a corporation. It acts as a separate corporation that deals with the assets that are put under it on behalf of a founder, right?
Absolutely, yes. So that's the exact way we can put it across. But yes, it doesn't issue any shares or legal title, like there is no certificate of incorporation. We do have certificate of foundation, which can be given to our clients.
Perfect. Which brings me to the next question. Can you explain the structure of a foundation to us?
Yes. So I'll put up the slide as well. So in terms of structure, so these are the people we need in a foundation. That's one, we need a founder, we need council members, we need guardian, we need qualified recipients, as well as designee, which is again optional. Now, when it comes to the structure, so first foremost, we need a founder who will establish a foundation, who will set up guidelines, rules for the council members. So we need council members also in the foundation. We need, with RAC ICC, we need a bare minimum of two council members. That's mandatory because they are the one who's going to manage all the operations for the foundation. And apart from that, we can have guardian. Again, as I said, these are optional position. Guardian is something which oversees the entire council's action to ensure there's a compliance with the founder's wishes and all the foundation is structured in a well-mannered. So a founder can be, again, can be himself as a council member, can be himself as a guardian. He can also be a qualified recipient. Qualified recipient is basically the beneficiary who receives all the benefits from the foundation. In case if there is no qualified recipient, client doesn't wish to put anything right now, automatically it becomes designee. Now designee is something which again the founder can wish to put the name. If there's no name, then the asset goes to authorities. So authorities becomes a designee automatically. And you have a choice of court, which is we use common law. So DFC ADGM you can use to form the structure of the complete foundation.
Perfect. I just want to take the opportunity here to tell everyone that the Q&A tab on the top of your window, it's the fourth option from the left-hand side, has been enabled. We understand that you all will have questions, so please feel free to add them over there. And once we are done with the presentation and the questions that we have set up, I will take each question over there. And yes, we have dedicated time for Q&A section. Another question people do have often is, will they get the slides or the recording after the session? We have created a detailed deck on the foundations, which is more than what you see here. That will be sent to you all within a day or two of the webinar as well. Perfect. Donald, let's go to the next slide where you can explain the structure as well as the different types of assets that come in under each foundation.
Yeah. So this is a possible structure for a RAK ICC foundation. Now, when I was giving you the information on who are the core members of the foundation, so this is what will make it more simpler for you guys to understand. So there's a founder who establishes a foundation, and he puts all the assets in the foundation. Now, as I said, for running a foundation, we need council members, a bare minimum of two. A founder can himself be a council member, or he can opt for someone else to become a council member. Even corporate council members are allowed. So the council member are the one who manages the foundation, and the assets which the founder can put into the foundation can be the personal chalet, real estate, the bank portfolios like bonds, investment bonds, equities, or a RAK ICC holding company. So the reason we have specifically mentioned RAK ICC holding company is because the holding company can benefit you on a further, like, questions when we have on taxes. It will further benefit you in terms of tax exemption, which we will talk a bit later. So guardian is the one who oversees the complete, uh, it manages to see the complete council members' actions on the foundation, how the council member are doing in terms of managing the assets or defining the assets for the qualified recipients. So this is what the structure will look like for the end client.
Perfect. I think that's pretty clear, Donald, which brings me to the next question. Traditionally, all of us have known about trusts. The trusts are a concept that are very well known across Europe and even Asia and parts of India. We all know about charitable trust, family trust. Foundations is slightly different from what I understand. So again, in simple terms, while we can see the distinction is very clear on the slides, can you tell us the main features that differentiate a foundation from a trust?
Yes, definitely. So, yeah, this is something which is in more detail on the slide, which you guys will see, but I'm not going to talk about the all the points here. The first point itself makes it very much distinguished. That is, a foundation is an orphan structure which is self-owning. It's more for the founder, wherein the trust is basically a trustee legally entitled for the for the trust. So, a founder can remain discrete in this particular foundation, wherein in trust the trustees are something which will go ahead and manage the entire trust. Okay, apart from that, foundation arise from a civil law tradition and are independent for the legal person, and trust derive from common law and are not separate legal person in the same way. So that means a trustee holds a legal title on the trust for the beneficiaries, unlike foundation. Now, when we talk about ownership, in foundation, asset belong to the foundation, but in trust, assets are held by trustees on behalf of the beneficiaries. In terms of governance, if we talk about, foundations are governed by internal corporate style structure like charter, council members, guardian, in terms of bylaws, wherein a trust is governed by the terms of trust deeds or trustees' fiduciary duties. So that's more of something in terms of we talk about going more beyond, and foundation is something which is more towards the family's securing legacy. In terms of flexibility and public perception, foundation often provide corporate governance model with a greater formal separation, and those are commonly used where civil law structures are preferred. Trusts remain widely used in common law jurisdiction to emphasize that the foundation is distinct from founders personal assets. uh, in terms more in foundations, it's more of a personal asset rather than taking any charity from outside. It's more to do with the family, within the family itself, but in trust it completely works different way. So that's the basic understanding or a difference I can say between the foundation and trust. So I really don't want to get into more detail, but as Afrin said, We will share this with you. This will have the complete detailed information, difference between a foundation and a trust.
Perfect. I think you summarized it very well, Donald, and you've highlighted the key points which we all need to know. You touched upon the charter and bylaws. We also have a slide on that which you can present for more detail. But can you, again, like you summarized foundation and trust, can you summarize the difference between a charter and bylaws, please?
Absolutely. So the charter and bylaws is one of the important document for family foundation. Again, bylaws is optional for the clients, but we always recommend to have bylaws when it comes to RAK ICC. The difference when we talk about charter and bylaws. Now, charter, I can associate that it's more of an article of incorporation. Same way what we do for the companies. It is more associated towards it's a legal document for the authorities. So charter is something which is mandatorily required in a foundation because that's something which you register with us as a legal authority. And bylaws is something which is an internal document. A founder can, a council member can go ahead and do the outlining of rules, governance, operation in bylaws, which through which a foundation can be run as per the founder's wish. But charter is something which is a legal document, which is in a legal form, which needs to be registered with the authorities. Authorities like for RAK ICC, it will be need to be registered with RAK ICC. When it comes to filing authority, again, that can be anything on one. Maybe it's a RAK ICC or any other authority which the foundation has been, you need to do filing. But when it comes to bylaws, bylaws are something which is internal document. You still file it with RAK ICC for our records. But again, that is something which is internally kept document, which can be amended as much as times you want, but needs to be registered with us for our records. And it's always good if you go for a legal advisor or a legal opinion to make the bylaws more strong. Now, when it comes to governance role, charter establishes the legal identity and framework. So that is for the family foundation. It has a framework which is there made with the authorities to manage and to oversee in terms of what assets are being put under the foundation, what kind of maybe real estate properties are there, what kind of companies are there. That will help us to go ahead and have those information with RAK ICC. And bylaws will provide you an operational and administrative rules to operate the foundation. So this is the more wide difference between a charter and bylaws. And all the other information you have it on the slide here right away. So in terms of legal authority, supreme legal authority within the foundation jurisdiction. So that means that is RAK ICC. And in terms of bylaws, it's subordinate to charter. That means it just subordinates to charter, but it's something which is an internal document, which we do not have any, you can say we don't amend it for the client. Client amends it by themselves. The best part is we give you a template for both these charter and bylaws to help you to amend as per your client's wish, which you can go ahead and amend and accordingly submit it to RAK ICC while doing the foundation.
Perfect. I think that's very well summarized, which brings me to an important question, which we knew our audience would be asking as well. I have it here in my notes, as well as Ibrahim Heather Khan has asked the same question. Can you throw some light on the potential tax optimization of family foundations?
Sure. So when we talk about tax, so definitely I am not going to get into the detail of tax. It's always better to take an advice from a tax advisor or reach out to FTA, Federal Tax Authority, directly. I can give you the basic tax information when it comes to RAK ICC Foundation. A family foundation, when it's formed, you do have to register for corporate tax. Okay. For a family foundation can apply to be treated as an unincorporated partnership, which you need to apply through FTA. Okay. If it meets the specific conditions or the activities, the qualifying activities, because foundation income may not be subject to corporate tax if it meets all the qualifying conditions, and activities. So when we talk about eligibility in terms of foundation having tax exemption. So when I talk about that, so first thing is we need to get the family foundation physically transparent to treat that as an unincorporated partnership, so that there is an exemption which FTA provides for the foundation. But the most important part for that is there shouldn't be any commercial activity. There shouldn't be any business revenue generation activity within the foundation. To make it more simpler, if there is a activity which generates income outside the foundation, which is put into the foundation just to save tax, those kind of commercial activities are not treated for exemption. Only the activities, or you can say the assets, the real estate which doesn't go ahead and for the commercial activity or commercial making payment wise, then we can go ahead for tax exemption. So that will exempt the family foundation from the tax. And if it's a holding company just holding assets outside the country, and that company is put under the foundation, even as a flow through, you can get the benefit of exemption. So to get more in detail, there's a link I have provided on this slide. That is basically, it's almost a 34-pager information which FTA has given on particularly on the family foundation, that what are the kind of activities and what shouldn't be considered when you are applying for unincorporated partnership. And you need to make sure, you need to go ahead, and once the family foundation is formed, you need to register it for the corporate tax. Okay, and then you need to apply for an unincorporated partnership so that you can have the benefit of exemption. And again, it also supports philanthropy. So philanthropy act, when we talk about that, that is something which is just to give out the charity, not to accept anything. So that is something you need to keep in mind, that again has to be rectified with FTA. What are the exact regulation which they will be looking at as in terms of the tax perspective? So I
Perfect.
think that's more information I've given on tax.
Yeah, I think that's more than we can say at the moment. And like you said, everyone has to do their due diligence, check with the FTA, and see what are the potential tax optimization benefits that they can avail, because every foundation is a different case with different needs of the beneficiary that need to be catered to, different needs of the founder that need to be catered to. So there is no blanket rule that can apply to all, and it is up to
Absolutely.
your own due diligence. This, from whatever we know, I think Donald has summarized it perfectly, which brings me to a very important part of our webinar today. In August, we announced the new RAK ICC amendments, which make us stronger than ever before, which are amendments which were necessary in order to fortify what our foundations offer to the beneficiaries and the founders. Uh, Donald, can you take us through what has changed and what is new now?
Yes. So let me walk you through the complete 2025 amendment for RAK ICC Foundation for the regulations which we have. And this is actually, this changes have strengthened the protection, governance, you can say certainty around our foundations. Uh, I'll keep the explanation the practical and straightforward, so that you can understand the impact on the founder as well as the stakeholders. So first thing is the firewall provision. So this is a very important amendment, I would say, that has RAK ICC has done to completely secure our RAK ICC Foundation in terms of any kind of a foreign judgment. So now the foundations are better shielded from foreign judgment that conflicts with uh, local regulation. So when I talk about that, to give an example, imagine a foreign court says a foundation must hand over the assets to their laws, as their laws don't recognize the foundation. So under this particular provision, or under this particular firewall rule, the judgment cannot affect the foundations in Russell Khema, because for that we need to then again use the common law. So that is something which we will follow when it comes to firewall provision. The second rule, or the second amendment, is 3 year of statute of limitation. Now, what does it mean? Any challenge to the creation of a foundation or a transfer of assets into it must be brought to our notice within the first 3 years. So, in case, for example, if someone waits for 5 years before claiming that the property was wrongly transferred to the foundation, so that claim is automatically out of time. And there's a high possibility the claim is completely been denied in terms of to have this as a protection to our end client. So the key message for here is this creates certainty after 3 years, the foundation structure or asset transfers are completely secure. Going to the third amendment, cause of action provision. So in this, it safeguards the foundation, in event of proven credit or fraud, the transfer of property to a foundation will be invalidated only to the extent necessary to settle creditor's claim. Now, what does this mean? For an example, if a founder transferred $1 million into the foundation, but only owes a creditor $100,000, the court will only unwind the transfer to the extent of that 100,000, not the full $1 million. So that means the founder doesn't need to dissolve the foundation just to pay $100,000 to the creditor, wherein they can just pay the $100,000 and they can still run the foundation with the $900,000 which is in the foundation, and they can continue it. So this saves a lot of time and this saves a lot of money apart from settling the creditor's debt. Going to the fourth and a very important amendment here again, that is duress protection clause. This particular safeguards foundation from more coercive legal processes. It means the foundation is shielded from outside legal attempt to interfere with or seize its assets. So to give you an example here again, if a foreign court tries to force a foundation officer to act against the local rules, the officer can go ahead and refuse it based on this particular clause, so that in case the refusal can be taken place if they really want to go ahead and do any sort of dispute or any sort of case against the foundation, they can go ahead and use the common law, maybe DFC, ADGM, whichever the end client chooses. uh, Going to the next amendment, which is strengthened arbitration framework. Now, this means dispute can be resolved by arbitration and arbitral tribunals. Now, for that's having like a court-like powers, including the ability to appoint representative for minors and future beneficiaries. So what it exactly does is, if there is a dispute over a management of a foundation, it can be settled privately through arbitration instead of going to a public court. So this will help in terms of unnecessary risk to the foundation and also public exposure, which can enhance the privacy in terms of the foundation. And the last point is private trustee foundation provision. So this particular means the amendments clarify that foundation may hold a property on trust, but that trust property is separate from foundation's own assets. Example, like if a foundation is acting as a trustee, it asset it holds for others is not mixed with its own endowment. So in that case, if there's an asset in the trust and there's an asset in the foundation, they both are treated separately. It cannot be mixed due to any, if there is any dispute or in terms of any has to be paid to the ultimate beneficiaries. So the key message here is this avoids confusion over the ownership and the strengthen the transparency in the asset management for the foundation. So to sum up, these amendments make foundation more robust, more predictable, more protected, and to give confidence to the founders, investors, beneficiaries that the foundation in Ras Al Khaimah will operate under stable, international respected framework. So this is the reason why we have these amendments in place, which makes us more stronger than ever before.
Tell me
Afrin?
where this places us in competition to the two other authorities that offer foundations in the UAE? Where does this place us as compared to DIFC and ADGM?
So I'll present this slide right in front of you. So we are almost, I can say not even almost, we are there. We are at par as DFC. So our foundation and DFC Foundation has almost the same kind of protection when it comes to family foundation. There are some which, like, have has a difference in terms of ADGM because of the limitations they work with. So in terms of when we say about 3 year statutory limitation, so DFC as well as RAK ICC Foundation both have this particular provision, wherein if you see when it comes to ADGM, this provision is not available. We need to keep in mind one very important thing. DFC, ADGM, both are financially regulated. RAK ICC is not financially regulated. Still, it makes us very strong when it comes to forming a foundation due to the cost effectiveness and the transparency and the speed in which we give you this particular foundation access. And when it comes to duress protection as well, you can see RAK ICC, DFC both has duress protection. And in terms of ADGM, we don't have that at the moment. Maybe they'll be working for it in near future. We never know. When it comes to court-like powers, the benefit what we have is you can choose common law, DFC, ADGM, any one of both. But in DFC, you have to choose DFC. In ADGM, you have to be with ADGM. So that's one of the core import. It makes us very much core important in the market because you have good options and you don't need to be settled in that particular authority. You can be anywhere in UAE. It doesn't matter. So that's the more I can say that's the most uh, difference, or that's how RAK ICC is completely separated its name and became more individually powerful when it comes to the other two authorities. Again, it there is a lot of difference, but this is something which I'm talking about the core ones.
Perfectly summarized, Donald. In fact, I think it's pretty clear to all of us what the differences are, what the similarities are, which brings me towards the end of this webinar. We have only two more questions to go from my side. Like I said, you're the business development manager. You meet, CSPs and registered agents almost every day. What is your pitch to them as to why they should be in the business of foundations? For those of us amongst here who are currently only working with us for holding companies and IBCs, what makes foundations a lucrative product for them to offer to their current clients as well?
Absolutely. Uh, I'm going to say it is one of the best product. Let me tell you that it's not just because I represent RAK ICC, but it is one of the best in terms of when we look at family foundation. And I would urge everyone to look into the family foundation for the near future because that gives you that safeguards. I'm going to say it actually, like, gives you a long-term safeguard for any sort of harm in terms that can cause to your assets. Okay, because people will come and talk to me about the will. Yes, will is a good part. Will is a good thing, but again, a will can be challenged in a court of law. But when it comes to foundation, it's derived by bylaws. So let me tell you, like when we were sitting last evening, we were having a discussion like what exactly, like, it will help our agents, or what is the most important point. So if you see here on the slide itself, the first point itself gives you that benefit. And trust me, this is one thing which will keep your clients with you all the time, because first thing, it's cost effective, well structuring solution that add longevity to your client relationship. Now, when we talk about that, once a client forms a foundation, the client be in your book for a very long time. It's a long-term relationship. You need to work with that client because setting up an SPV, a holding company, a client can close it after 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, depending on how the client is working or what is the exact way of his business. They can dissolve the company, they can liquidate, they can go ahead and strike it off not renew it, and not be in your books for a very long time. But when it comes to family foundation, it's completely different. They are putting their assets, they're putting their wealth in the foundation. So they're putting all the hard-earned money, all the hard-earned things what they have done in their entire life, they're putting it in the foundation for their beneficiaries. So definitely they need to keep this running. So because of this, there's a very, very high chance that this client will stay in your book for a very long time because he needs to renew the foundation. He needs to uh, do amendments to the foundation. He needs to work with this foundation to look into how he can secure it more for his beneficiaries and how it can help him to be like, completely secured and his legacy keeps on going. So that's where I can say this only one point will give you that assurance that this client is going to stay in your books for a very long time. The like the way you keep the relationship with the client, helping him with this particular foundation, or even if you are one of the council member of the foundation, then it again gives you more flexibility to work with this client and keep him in your books for a long-term relationship.
I think that's perfectly summarized. It's a product that makes your relationship with the client sticky, and the more assets that the client builds over time, they will naturally add it to their foundation. It is a product which will last beyond the lifetime of the client as well, which is its core purpose in order to plan the legacy of the client, plan how the assets will pass down from one generation to the other. So there is no other product like the foundation that RAK ICC offers that gives this kind of longevity to your relationship. Which brings me to the last question from my side. What makes RAK ICC Foundations a suitable product for the end clients? Why should someone have a foundation?
Yeah. So why should someone have a foundation? I think the entire discussion was on that. So everyone by now knows it that why someone should have a foundation, that is securing the legacy uh, and succession planning for their beneficiaries. When it comes to what makes it suitable for the end client from our agent's perspective, first of all, you have the very important point is you have an option to choose the common law from the courts like DIFC, ADGM. So you have the option to choose it for your client, or client can choose it by themselves. When it comes to RAK ICC, it is very easy to set up and renew the foundation because with us, you guys know already, you have a portal access, you go on the portal, you submit the application, it goes to the review team, they'll review it, everything is well and good. We can set up the foundation in 3 working days. You will have it with you. You can give the documents to your client. The client will be happy. Apart from that, another benefit is we do have the templates for charter and bylaws. So you don't need to be working out with a legal advisor, or you don't need to get into the drafting of all these things because this is readily available. When it comes to RAK ICC, we provide it to you so that you can amend it based on your client's requirement. So even the client and you will save time, plus they will be happy that there are regulations already in place where you just need to amend it. The other thing is for our foundation, there's a very minimal documentation. Your client doesn't need to have a registered office within Ras Al Khaimah. It can be anywhere, or you can use your agent office. Apart from that, there is a protection and privacy. That is, I mean to say, when we discussed about the new amendments, the firewall, the duress protection, the we do not have a public registry at the moment. So that is gives a confidentiality to your client. The founder remains confidential in terms of setting up the foundation. The assets will belong once the assets are under foundation, it goes to the foundation. So the founder's name is no more involved in anywhere. In terms of governance, council, guardian, they can provide corporate style structure governance to the foundation to manage the foundation effectively, and the bylaws can be written accordingly. In terms of tax planning, when we talk about again corporate tax, once you go and talk to FTA with the qualifying activities which can be moved under the foundation, which will exempt it from uh, getting charged taxes. And again, it will be treated as an unincorporated entity. So that will benefit your client, and he will remain more peaceful. And in terms of operational ease, everyone uses who are joined in today uses RAK ICC portal. You have seen how easy it is to set up a company, a foundation. You just supply all the documents. If everything is clear, good enough for us to go ahead and get you the foundation access, you will get the access as soon as possible. And don't forget, if your client is really in a hurry, you have something called as an urgent service, which we provide you. If you give us the documents which is clear and you have opted for an urgent service, we can try to get you the foundation within a day. So that makes it very easy with RAK ICC Foundation. Uh, and you can go ahead and start pitching your client for RAK ICC Foundation today.
I think, Donald, you've done a stellar job of explaining not only the benefits to our agents, but the benefit to the end clients. We will shortly go into the questions that we have received in the Q&A. Should you have any more questions, please feel free to add them right now. I just want to take a moment to add to everyone who has joined today. Thank you so much for joining us. You all always have been so receptive. The last three webinars we've had as well, the attendance is amazing. So we hope you keep joining us. We hope to do this very often. We also have the Meet the Registry event, which is an in-person event that all our registered agents have been invited for. I urge you to register for it if you haven't already, because we have limited seats. And please do that at the earliest. It's on the 8th of October next month. So hoping to see a lot of you all over there. Let's go into the questions now. I can see a question here from Intuit Management Consulting. It says, can a council member be an outsourced person? For example, can a RAK ICC agent be a council member?
Yes, as I said, uh, if the founder agrees for their agent to become a council member, yes, they can become a council member, which needs to be clearly defined in our charter. The council member, the role, and the name of the council member. So, as I said, again, just to reiterate, a founder can be a corporate or an individual entity. When it comes to council members, we need bare minimum of two council members. It can be an individual natural person or it can be a corporate entity. So it doesn't matter if it's the agent or the client wants to keep his own entity as a council member. We need to make sure this is there drafted in the charter very clearly in clear terms.
Okay. The next question is from Joyce. It says, in case a designee has not been provided on the onset of the incorporation, is there any possible way of adding one at a later date?
So designee that comes under amendments. So when we set out the rules for amendments, which is again there are some loopholes which we are looking at. Uh, what I would suggest, Joyce, is we are looking into it how we can work on amendments. So for this particular question, Afreen, I think we'll need to make a note of this question, and
Mhm.
I would like to come back on this question to Joyce directly. Or Joyce, you can
Yeah.
also drop us an email wherein we can revert to you on this. As far as I know, at the moment, we can go ahead and do the amendment, but that is something which I don't want to comment right away because I need to get this clarification done, and we can revert it to you with the answers. Or even if you are available in Meet the Registry, our registrars will be there. You can directly have these questions also asked there face to face to our registrar.
Okay, and if anyone else has questions as well that don't get addressed today or you think of later, feel free to write to customer service at rakicc.com and they will direct it to the registrar and get the answers for you. I have a question from Noor. Can a founder resign from his position and another founder be appointed in his stead?
No. The answer for this is completely no. Once the foundation is established, we can't do any changes with the founder. Even if, uh, God forbid, the founder passes away, the council members will make the decision in terms of the assets because the founder, we cannot change it, we cannot amend it. There is no amendment to the founder.
Perfect. Sangeeta Basu asks, can foundations hold property directly?
Yes, a foundation can hold the properties directly, but it depends on the relevant authority where the property belongs to, because that is something which you need to check with the relevant authority. For example, when it comes to Ras Al Khaimah municipality for the land, so we need to check with directly with the Ras Al Khaimah municipality land if they are accepting foundation to be the owner of the property. With RAK ICC, we do not have any objection to move the real estate property directly under foundation. From our side, we are very clear. You can move it under the foundation. You need to check with the relevant authority what is the exact way, or do they have any objection. That is something you need to check with the authority, because the property can be anywhere. It can be in Ras Al Khaimah, it can be in Abu Dhabi, it can be in Dubai, it can be in India. Doesn't matter. You need to check with the relevant authority if they are okay to move the ownership to a foundation.
Okay. Lavin Varki asks, can we morph a RAK ICC IBC into a foundation or vice versa?
Sorry, I couldn't hear that question.
Can we morph a RAK ICC IBC into a foundation or vice versa?
Yes, we can. So if there is an IBC which is already available and the client is holding the company, we can convert that into a foundation. So there are certain requirements which we can send you an email. I would advise just drop us an email. We will send you the complete steps how to do it with what all the documents are required. And then in case if you have any such prospects, then you can reach out to us.
And the email is customerservice@rakicc.com. They have asked again in the questions, what is the email we write to? You got to write to customerservice@rakicc.com.
You either write
Uh,
to customer service, or if you guys know your BD managers, write it to them directly or drop a one-liner. Like if I have my agents there available, just drop me a one-liner on email or on WhatsApp. I'll try to answer your questions.
okay, we have a question from Oksana. Can a foundation have three founders, an individual, a corporate, as in a BVI company, or and a Jersey trust? So can there be more than one founder?
We can have more than one founder. But Oksana, for your particular question, I have to again ask you also to get back. Sorry, ask that I will get back to you on this one, because we need to understand when we say it's a corporate entity as a founder, we need to understand the shareholding structure, and even if it's a trust, who's the trustee, and there are a lot of other complication which we need to first check before I give out the blanket answer that yes, you can. In a normal scenario, yes, a corporate can be the founder, but again, it depends on the 100% shareholding if it's an individual. So we need to look into that as well. So rather, what I would suggest is, if you need to have a clarity on this question, give us a detailed or maybe send us a detailed question that what is the shareholding structure, and even if it's a trust, what are the trustees and all those information. So we can sit with the registrar, get you the clear answers and a clear draft, which, like, there is no, I'm going to say, there's no possible way to differentiate, or you can say, I would more oftenly, I want to have this answer in a clear format to you, so that, like, there is no confusion where you feel that, okay, this is contradicting from what we are saying it. But rather than that, I would suggest it's better to write it down to us so that we can get a clear answer in black and white, and we can send it to you back.
We have two people, Priyansh and Anna, asking the same question. What is the cost of foundation setup?
Wow, I was just thinking why no one is asking me the cost. So I know a lot of you guys know the cost, and a lot of you will be shocked to hear, but we charge only 850 dirhams to set up a foundation, that is inclusive of all the charges, except in case if there is any complications or any high risk. So 850 is the price to set up the RAK ICC Foundation, which makes us, as the first point in the slide, a very cost-effective, well-structuring solution for your clients.
Another important question we see often, Donald, here has been asked by Michael. Is there a way we can get a bank account in the UAE for a foundation?
Yes, we can. We do have our own foundations where the bank accounts are open. I know it's a challenge for a lot of agents, and a lot of agents will be saying no, the banks don't accept. But it completely depends, as I always tell this to my agents as well. It completely depends on the bank's relationship you have with the bank in terms of your relationship manager. Because if your relationship managers really want to work with you, they can go to an extent where they can go ahead and handle or tackle their compliance by submitting the application. You need to make sure of one point for the family foundation. If you need a bank account, the bylaws is very important. When it comes to bank account, the bank is the first thing the bank is going to ask is the bylaws and the charter when you go for a bank account opening. The second thing is to if there is a complication in the structure, then definitely yes, the banks are going to make it a little bit be fussy on it, because the RM really doesn't want to go ahead and do that all hassle to for that one particular company to open the bank account. But it's a very straightforward structure. Like there's one founder, he has one entity which he has put under the foundation, one property, everything that one founder has it. It becomes very easy to open the bank account for bankers. Just that the documentation part is something which is they're going to ask you a lot of documents. They're going to ask you a lot of bank statement. They're going to ask you a lot of source of wealth, which RAK ICC don't emphasize for so many documents, but the banks are going to ask you three times more the documents. So if you're ready for those kind of documents to be submitted to the banks, we do have banks. I can give you classical examples. Emirates Islamic is the one who has opened RAK ICC Foundation bank account. I We have Emirates NBD who has opened a RAK ICC Foundation account. We do have EMIs who can open an IBAN account for you like HubPay. So there are banks and electronic money institution which can give you the access to the bank account for your clients. It's just that you need to push the bankers.
Right. There's another question here that has been asked several times is, can a RAC ICC Foundation act as a trustee of a number of client trusts?
They can. Yes, it can. So going back to our amendment slide. So this is what the key amendment was. So if you see, the private trustee foundation provision clarifies the status of property held in trust by foundation. So that particular point itself is giving you the clarification that RAK ICC Foundation can be a trustee to the trust which is outside, which is there in the market.
Perfect. I think that's all the time we have on the webinar today. And I still see there are questions here. Please send them directly to your RMs, whether that's Donald, Abir, David, or Mohammed, whoever your RM is, please send your questions to them. Unfortunately, this is all the time we have on the webinar for today. Thank you again to everyone who joined. We really appreciate you for your participation, and we're looking forward to having you at future events and webinars in such large numbers. And Donald, thank you so much for doing this for us today. And I hope we can do this again soon.
Yes, thank you, Afreen. It was pleasure to talk to everyone, and I hope we'll be receiving a lot of questions on foundation. So I'm not only looking at questions, I'm looking at the number of foundation to be increased by all the ones who are attending. So I think next month we should look at least one foundation each from everyone.
Inshallah. That's all I can say. That's your department. But also, everyone who's joined, please follow us on social media, like and comment on our posts. And also watch the space. We have a very exciting announcement coming up about foundations within the next few days. I literally just got the confirmation on my screen, but that's enough to tease you for now. So watch the space. Something very exciting is coming up soon. And see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you all.